so much for joining us during this momentary distraction of simple amusements and magic.
Well, happy Thursday, everyone. If you're out there watching, I hope everyone is having a good time and ready to start their weekend off. My name is Herren, and I am Faust, and I'm your host tonight at Faust Company. Today, we have a special guest, a good friend of mine, and his name is Jordan Jonas, hailing all the way out from Albuquerque, New Mexico. And we're going to get to him in just a couple minutes here. But if anyone's out there, I was doing a little bit research, preparing myself for the upcoming summer and fall for these new live events. If you know of any live events, please place them in the chat. I'd love to research it and possibly promote it out here. And I would definitely like to kind of promote it here so that if I'm interested in going or if anyone else is interested in going, I could put it out. I see that Ralph is out there. Hello, Ralph. Thank you once again for coming and joining us. And if you're out there, please say hi in the comments. I always love seeing people's names, familiar names, and I hope to meet you guys out there in the live soon enough. And so another thing that I wanted to bring up is if you have a sizzle reel, and if you just in case you're wondering what a sizzle reel is, it's kind of like a highlight of someone's performance. And I noticed that there are some pretty creative sizzle reels out there. And if you wanted to put it up on the show, please DM me or pass it along, and I'd be more than happy to support. In fact, I'm going to start it off tonight with this sizzle reel, and I call it a sizzle reel moment. So enjoy.
Simone, what kind of game?
It's called crypto-psychism.
Bicycle and Scrabble.
We are still in sync.
The word you are thinking of is expression.
That's right.
And that was our sizzle reel moment. That was actually the Orpheum Circuit Tour. Felix Jones made that sizzle reel. Thank you, Felix. It is a trio that I'll be performing with. It's called the Orpheum Circuit Tour. If you're interested, let me know. DM me on the side. In fact, I see a couple people out there today. Hello, Anessa, if you're still watching. Loretta, I see that you're out there too. Ralph and my good friend Micah. And I also see Tiffany out there, Tiffany Diaz. Thank you again for coming and watching, and I can't wait to introduce our featured guest. In fact, we're going to introduce him right now, so stay tuned, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, our featured guest hails all the way from Albuquerque, New Mexico. He is a professional magician, a mentalist, and also a self-proclaimed professional weirdo. He has a new virtual show called Beyond the Veil, and he's here to talk about it today. So, ladies and gentlemen, a round of threes in the comments for our featured guest, Jordan Jonas. Jordan, welcome to the show.
Well, here we are. Good evening, boys and girls, and Chris, and other creatures of different varieties. Thank you for having me on the show tonight. I really appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate you coming, Jordan. It's always a pleasure. In fact, we had you here before on a different kind of show. Am I not mistaken?
And you decided to bring me back for whatever reason. That's okay.
The return of Jordan Jonas.
Yes.
But if I'm going through the comments here, I just want to make sure I get through them. You have Loretta here. They're all giving you a round of applause and a familiar name. Judy, hello.
Thank Judy and Loretta, everybody. Thank you for watching.
And you know what? We actually had you on something called the 15-minute pop-up show, and we literally had like 10 minutes just to have you on. But today, we get to know you a little bit more. And how are you, Jordan, out in Albuquerque, New Mexico?
Well, I'm good. It's starting to heat up over here in the desert. And for the Goths, you know, we don't get hot. We simmer. So you know, it's starting to get to that point. But the weather is very, very iffy, but I'm doing great. I'm my makeup might be running a little bit, but that's okay. It adds to the look.
Well, we appreciate you coming full dressed. I came in with this jacket, and I completely understand, because sometimes Victorian or Gothic wear tends to be for like the winter time. I would.
It's a little. It's kind of, you know, it's kind of hot. It's a little warm, but damn it, it looks good. So I don't care.
That indeed. So I just gotta ask. We're moving into this whole like a different sort of phase with the pandemic, and we're somewhat going live here in California. Would you say that's the same case out in Albuquerque in the next coming months?
Yeah, definitely. I think so. Things are starting to get a little back to normal, for better or for worse. Some people are jumping the gun way too much, and they think that just because they're vaccinated that they're okay to not wear masks anymore, and that couldn't be further from the truth. But yeah, things are slowly getting there. Whatever normal is or was.
Right, and I guess the new normal, as it may be. But I'm quite excited to at least make this transition into the new sort of live entertainment or live performing, and I'm very interested in how it's all gonna go. But Jordan, I want to let everyone know out there that we met on virtual. We've never met live, which
we have never embraced each other in person.
No. Absolutely. but you know, and I keep on reiterating that this pandemic has brought up, you know, I guess some fortunate circumstances. One being meeting you and having you as a friend that we talk a lot. And I wanted to tell everyone that I met you at a lecture that I was doing for an online school called Dramaversity. In fact, you were the only one who signed up. And and here you are, you come on screen, and I see the bookshelf behind you is in the shape of a coffin. And it just letting people know. And I immediately knew that me and you would get along, because what I found is that you had an interest, so to speak, to put it mildly, with the macabre and the strange. Is that correct in saying, Jordan?
It is a mild obsession, borderlining concerning. It might be. I'm always worried about police coming into my house and seeing all of this stuff.
Well, it's definitely nice conversational pieces, which I would love to bring out a couple of things that you made. But before we do that, Jordan, could you give us like an intro on how you got into magic?
Well, I remember seeing the first magic show that I ever saw was David Copperfield, and he played a place here called Popejoy Hall, and I was probably like 4 or 5 years old. My grandmother took me to see him. So that was kind of like my first peek into the world of magic. And then I got a little bit older, and then I saw David Blaine's first street magic special. And that's really what kind of hooked me, because he was doing it so much differently than anyone else was. And he was the first person to pioneer taking it off of the stage and taking it out, and doing stuff with normal items and with, not with big lavish props. And so that's really what got me really addicted to it. And
right. And thus your interest in magic grew. But eventually, now Eugene Berger had always said that the house of magic has many rooms. And I think what he meant is that there are a lot of genres and styles. Obviously, you have a very specific and unique style. I don't want to call it bizarre magic, because I know we've had this conversation before. Mm-hmm. How would you describe your magic and in magic?
A train wreck. I don't know. I mean, I'm still kind of finding I'm still very much young, and I'm trying to find my own way of presenting bizarre magic and presenting theatrical magic and mentalism. And because really, I mean, I'm not doing much magic per se anymore.
Yes.
And just trying to make it more theatrically interesting and incorporate stories instead of just, oh, look, here's a trick and now it's over. We've been watching the show called Inside Number 9, and it's a phenomenal show, and they have a sketch that pretty much sums up bizarre magic, and the guy is talking about street magic being like a hit and run style of magic. It just, here's the trick, and before you have time to register it, that's it. And yes. I've really been getting into Eugene's work a lot, and have now added him on. He's very up high on my list of inspirations, as yes. well as many others, and really trying to make something that's meaningful and that's more interesting than just doing a trick.
I definitely can empathize with what you're saying. It's very hard sometimes to pinpoint and I hate putting labels to people's magic, and I definitely agree with you on the theatrical aspect. We performed before on a show together, and I definitely would say that our styles are very similar at least in approach.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I love the way you do storytelling as it may be. You mentioned Eugene Berger. For people out there who don't know who Eugene is, he is definitely a storyteller by all accounts. But a lot of his stuff can be very dark, Would you say that your show, Beyond the Veil, and we will definitely go into it more with Beyond the Veil. Would you say that there are some dark pieces in there, or pieces that are spooky in nature, that are not traditionally what people perceive as magic?
Yeah, there's definitely some routines that are a little more heavy, that deal with some more dark subject matter and things like that. And it's also it's a mixture of tongue in cheek, and it's serious, but it's also not too where it's not over the top, like cheesy serious. So there is some humor, and there are some heavy bits and bobs, and overall I'm a bit biased, honestly, but overall it's not totally heavy to where you feel like you're going to need to take a shower afterwards. Or maybe you will. Maybe you will. I don't know. You'll just have to come and find out, I guess.
Perfectly okay to touch on those gray areas. And you know what? I think Eugene Berger also said there are so many more emotions than just laughter and applause that you can do with magic. And that's what I love about what you're doing, is you're not afraid to touch the gray areas, but then reel it back. And I've seen you perform, and I could tell people this: you will definitely experience a wide range of emotional experience, and needless to say, some bizarre things.
Right.
Now, aside from the magic, Jordan, you also create things like dioramas. Could you tell us what a diorama is?
I honestly, I don't know. It was one of those things that I started doing during quarantine. I got bored. I had some stuff laying around, and I just kind of pitched it together, and I was like, yeah, that looks okay. And then I was thinking about your setup, and how it looks and how much I love it, and that's a lot to work with. So I thought to myself, I'm going to make a diorama box or shadow box of your set. And then I did that, and I felt like a stalker, and I felt like a creep. And then I mailed it to you, and you hated it and you threw it away.
Not even. Which makes for a great story, Jordan. So if people out there who don't know who you are and what you do outside of magic, you create these crafts. I call them curios. People call them dioramas. And if you don't know what a curio is, for me, it's an object of curiosity. And so I'm going to play something real quick, so just in case people don't know what it is. And this is what a curio is. So a curio is an object of curiosity and rarity. And actually, this is one, and
I forgot about that one too. That's right. I sent you two of them.
That's right. And I'm gonna do a solo screen real quick here, Jordan, so that people could see what you did. This is something that you've given me, and I definitely, we haven't talked about it much, but this is something that Jordan does. It is something that I find very interesting. It's kind of like the late century interest in the macabre or surrounding death. Could you tell me, Jordan, what inspired you to create this piece? And it is a coffin.
Yeah, so there is beauty in dark places, as we all know. And in Victorian era, people treated death a lot differently than they do today.
Yes.
So a lot of people anymore, they shun it. They're afraid of it. They don't want to think about it. But back then, they celebrated it, and they would have mourning portraits, meaning like not like mourning, but like mourning. Mourning portraits made of family members. They would have they would take bits of their hair and put it in a locket, and they really leaned into the whole death thing, and they weren't afraid of it. And like I said, they celebrated it, and that's just the way it was. And that's always been interesting to me. And I wish that more people would have that look towards it today. But
Right.
that's why, for the most part, that's why I'm into stuff that's like that.
What I find interesting, so I think Glenn Berkheimer says, is that a picture of the Emperor Norton? I'm not sure who that is.
I don't believe so. No.
Okay. And, I do find, I understand what you're saying. I think in the late 1800s, even in Victorian era, this sort of treatment or etiquette with death was a little bit different than the way we are now. And so when I started reading about, how Victorians handled death, even taking pictures with their loved ones after they had passed, as it were a family portrait, I found that very interesting. I don't know why. It's something innate, but I just find that very interesting. And, that is why I love what you did here as far as one of your curios or dioramas.
And it's so hard to let it go.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was surprised that you did. In fact, Judy's asking if you sell these online. And
well, I'm working on a couple. I'm working on a bigger one right now. That's been it's already taken me like 2 months, but I'll post it up on my page, and some smaller ones that I'm working on at the moment. But
wonderful.
I've been preoccupied getting ready for other things, so I haven't had much time to work on them anymore.
Absolutely. Your magic, you've been getting very busy with magic, and now that live is coming up, you certainly have to budget your time.
Mm-hmm.
One last thing on the curios, and this is a story that I really love. You, when we were just getting to know each other, you asked me for a full body photo. And without question, you said, this might be a strange question, but what I need is a full body photo of you. Do you have one? And I said, absolutely. I didn't question it by any means. I just did, but I think Beverly wants one of those dioramas.
I think Beverly, it was the last person that I sent one. I made one out of a tin, like an Altoids kind of tin. And
yes.
Beverly bought. So thank you, Beverly. I'm happy to see you're watching.
Now, I know you asked me for this full body photo.
Yeah.
And without question, because me and you, I think we're on the same frequency or not, or something. You after a couple of weeks, you said, I have something for you. And I said, okay, well, let's see it. And this is what you gave me. And everyone who hasn't seen this is a handmade piece by Jordan. And I'm going to actually go into a solo screen here, Jordan, so that everyone can appreciate this artwork that you did. And so this is what Jordan did. It's actually a very, very accurate representation of this room. In fact, he didn't stop there. He also put on some lights, and there you go. And if you step back, you can see it. Now, I'm going to bring you back on, Jordan, here in about a second. There you go. Could you tell me the inspiration? And this is a huge piece, by the way. This is not no small.
Yeah, it turned out much bigger than, and luckily Tiffany, my girlfriend, also helped me with like the actual box part of it, because originally I was going to put it in a shoebox, and it was just way too much stuff. So she helped me. I'm really bad at math and measuring, and I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So she helped me like measure out the pieces, and we got some foam board and made the actual box, and then.
Well,
and I told you, the creepy thing is that it does have a bit of a voodoo spell on it. I told you that if you ever change anything in your real set, it will change in the diorama too.
Oh, I just got the chills just thinking about that. Tiffany, thank you for helping Jordan out. it's one of my prized pieces, Jordan. I honestly, behind this sign, I have a little table that I've dedicated your artwork to. So thank you for that wonderful, shadow box and diorama. It certainly is art, which definitely translates into what you do as a magician. Now, you have this new show, and it's called Beyond the Veil. Could you tell us what is the significance behind the name Beyond the Veil?
Well, I wanted a clever virtual show name, and everyone else was doing I can't remember them, right? I wanted something like beyond the, everyone's doing, they're trying to reach out beyond the computer screen, and they're trying to, connect with people in their homes. And so I wanted some kind of a name that reflected beyond something, and then I needed to incorporate something that was macabre and ghostly. And I have a book that's actually about Victorian mourning portraits that's titled Beyond the Dark Veil. So then I just went with Beyond. It's an amazing book, by the way, check it out. But I went with Beyond the Veil.
I absolutely love it because it has that sort of Victorian feel, or that image to that era, and it certainly is fitting of the style of show that you do. Because I like I said, I've seen it before. I put a little note on the bottom here for anyone that's interested. It's actually tomorrow. Am I not mistaken, Jordan?
Yes. So tomorrow at I believe it's 6 Mountain Standard Time, and then 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time.
So I put in the comments, hopefully it shows up in there, the Eventbrite link. So if people are interested in going to your show tomorrow, they can look it up and they can get their tickets there. And once again, Beyond the Veil, April 23rd at 5 p.m. And let me see here. Could you give us a little?
It is close to selling out, so I don't want to hold a gun to your head, but go get tickets for the show.
Jordan, I gotta ask, what can people expect when they see your show, or better yet, what do you hope that they are going to walk out after seeing your show?
Well, I hope that they walk out thinking that I'm not competent. That's my main thing. Also, I hope it makes people think a little bit more and not just dismiss everything as a magic trick, or it not to sound too pretentious, but there's so much more to it than just a magic trick or a magic show, whatever you want to call it. I try to make it an experience. I try to make it something that's, your home is being haunted by yours truly. And I try to make things happen in your home, not so it's just a passive watching experience. So hopefully you experience those things and feel them. I have had people feel things in their homes before, and people's, electronic mishaps have happened during the show. So stuff like that may or may not happen. We'll see. It depends on how thin the veil truly is.
Well, I love the summary, Jordan, and it also speaks of how you want people to experience the show. I'm just looking at the comments. They're just coming in. Micah Cover here, good friend of mine. He'll be there. He just bought a ticket. Thank you, Micah, for doing that. You won't be disappointed.
Now, Micah, you have been saved. Now I don't have to send my goons over to your place.
I definitely love how you take great care in the experience of magic, which is something I definitely hold sacred, at least in this art form. And it's nice to know that you look at it in this way. And I have to ask you, do you see magic as an art, and why? If you do, that is.
Yeah, I mean, if music is an art, and sculpting and all of acting, all of these things, they're art. They're to make people have a sense of fulfillment, and they're to make people feel a certain way. So magic is definitely one of those things. At least if you're doing it the right way, you should make people feel a certain emotion. You should make them feel connected to what you're doing. They should feel something, and not just, oh, that was a cool trick. It should be more than that. It should always be more than that. So definitely, it's an art, and it's one of the most beautiful art forms that there is. And because it is I always call it a black sheep of the rest of the art community. It's an oddity. Magic as an art is in and of itself an oddity of other art forms. It seems to be shunned, and for some reason it has the stigma still that it's just for kids, and it's it's for everybody. Kids can enjoy it, adults can enjoy it. And now my blood pressure is through the roof.
Well, I apologize.
No, it's not your fault. No, I'm very. As you can see, I am. Yeah, it's something to be passionate about. And the older I'm getting, the more serious I'm getting about it. And should be very high up there on the art list.
Well, I appreciate your thoughts, Jordan, because you're truly right. I think in many ways, even I get it. People have a certain idea of what magic is, and really they've stereotyped it to one thing. Not to put children's magic down. I've done it. Absolutely, and I still do it. But I think in terms of the layperson, they only see it in that way. And it's nice to see your magic being put out in the forefront as another description of what magic could be. And I appreciate that you're holding that torch to let people know that it can be this different thing as well. And
it's so weird too, because I always think kids are going to get freaked out by what I do. They're the most. They're all in. They're all in. And whenever I have to do stuff for kids, they're all in it, and they're like, "Whoa."
Well, I definitely think it has to do with the theater of things. Kids are more exposed, and I think we underestimate them sometimes as to what they want to see. So that's a very good note, Jordan, that these kids are actually interested into this sort of storytelling and this theatrical magic, because it's worth a discussion. I think even me as a parent, I assume that my kids want to see magic in a certain way, but that may not be always true. They might want to see something beyond your expectations, which I can certainly say that they'll see it in yours. Jordan, your social media is on Facebook. And if you're not following Jordan already, please follow him on Facebook. Could you tell us a little bit about it?
Please. I'm so desperate. Please just.
And so Jordan says, please follow him on Facebook. And you're pretty active on there as far as the social media. You do post your shows on there as well?
Definitely, yes.
Okay. And also, I got your Instagram here, and we definitely are following you. And I hope that if you're out there not following Jordan already, please give him a follow. Jordan, would you mind at all sharing a little bit of magic if you would like?
It's a little short notice, to be honest with you.
I'm sorry.
But let me go run to the shop real quick and
Yes.
buy something. I would love to share something with you and everyone else watching.
Well, I
but
appreciate.
There's one caveat. You have to help me.
Well, I'm here to help, my friend.
So as long as I have your consent and name and blood, then that's all we need.
Well, absolutely. Just as long as it's not too much blood, I will consent.
Just the fair amount. Well, actually, you're going to be helping me out in a bit of a, let's just call it a test. In a moment, I'm going to have you name a playing card. Now, as simple and straightforward as that may be, whatever your response, it will have certain consequences.
Okay.
Now, don't name something too obvious like the Ace of Spades, okay? A lot of people will name the Ace of Spades and it's too obvious. But besides that, you can name any card that pops into your head. So that being said, by all means, name a card.
8 of diamonds.
The 8 of diamonds. Very well, then. Remember it. Don't forget it.
Indeed.
Chris, I want to give you and all of the lovely people watching at home some peculiar history. Did you know that back in the Middle Ages, playing cards were actually banned throughout many parts of Europe? They were considered to be evil by the church. And it was said that whenever a group of people got together to play cards, that Satan himself was always present. Now, even today, many churches will not allow card games on their premises. It is also said that Satan marks one card inside every deck. Different cards and different decks, yes, but without fail, he always manages to name one card for himself. Now, the only people that know Satan's card, besides the evil one himself, are those that speak and are in league with him. This was used as a test in trials of persons accused of witchcraft. The person so accused was asked to name a card, and if that card bore the mark of Satan, then torture, followed by death by burning at the stake. So, Chris, let us, just for a moment, imagine that we are back in the Middle Ages.
Okay.
And you are on trial for witchcraft.
Wonderful.
You named a playing card. You named the 8 of diamonds. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Let's see how well you would have fared in your trial. Let's bring the camera down here. You had a free choice. You could have named any of these cards. But you named this one. But remember, we are looking for one that has a particular mark. And to me, I do not see that mark on any of these. Yours, on the other hand, let's have a peek. Not only is it marked with a big, juicy pentagram, but it is also the only one in the pack that is hellishly red. Chris, Satan has spoken to you. But let us be grateful that we are no longer in the Middle Ages.
Bravo, 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 Jordan. Thank you for that. And
it's kind of hot. It's kind of hot too. It's hot to touch.
actually, I was just gonna say I had a huge chill, but I felt like the heat beneath my feet just rose. Thank you so much. The comments are rolling in. I want you to see that that people are responding and reacting to your set here, Jordan. That is a wonderful display of what we were talking about. I love what Loretta says. Hail Satan 333. Wonderful.
Well, that's only half of the actual number.
Yeah. And so, Jordan, this is a great display of the storytelling type of magic, touching on something a little bit different. And people out there wondering what your show is going to be like. Would you say that this is the sort of style or premise that you would somewhat get in your show tomorrow on Beyond the Veil?
Indeed, it is. It's just a brief little window into whatever I do.
And so if anyone's out there that I did put a link out there for everyone to see so that they can, I just want to make sure that everyone knows that you have a show tomorrow called Beyond the Veil. And later on, please follow Jordan for information on getting those tickets. Do you plan on having other dates, Jordan, with regards to your show?
I try to do them. I try to do public shows once a month. So hopefully it continues to that schedule. It just depends on if anything in my own, whatever comes up with me. But I do try to do one at least once. This has been the first one that I've had since December because I've just been tweaking things and making everything look better and just putting more work into it overall. But
well, definitely, you've certainly come to a long way since the lecture that we both attended with just me and you, and I definitely have always been impressed with your magic, Jordan. So I truly appreciate you sharing that with us today. And so, Jordan, it comes to a point in our show that I would love to ask you 10 questions, if you don't mind participating.
Bring it on.
Wonderful. Well, for people out there watching, I have been inspired and by a man named James Lipton, and he was the host for Inside the Actors Studio, God rest his soul, and he asked a series of questions. And what I found is that these questions were actually from the Victorian era, and it is appropriate for enthusiasts such as myself and you that we ask these questions, and I hope that we can carry on the legacy of asking this question that I call the Lipton questions. They were actually inspired by a Victorian poet by the name of Marcel Proust, and it was called the Confession album. And they were just a set of questions meant to be asked and answered throughout a person's life. And I was wondering what a magician would answer when these questions are asked. So, Jordan, I appreciate you participating in the questions.
You have me. I'm intrigued.
I hope that you enjoy it as much as I'll enjoy it, and I hope everyone out there will enjoy it as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, we begin the Lipton questions, and here they are. Jordan, the very first question that I would love to ask you is, what is your favorite magic word?
And it's going to sound cheesy, but the standby, abracadabra, which is actually a phrase that means I create what I speak, or I create as I speak, is what it really means. So meaning putting your actions to words and creating what you want out of life by what you say you're going to do is one way that it can be interpreted. But that is what abracadabra actually means.
Abracadabra. Jordan, what is your least favorite magic word?
Card trick. I don't know. I don't know if I have any least favorites.
I think card trick is sufficient. I somewhat understand what you're saying, but I think that's a sufficient answer.
Okay.
Jordan, what sound or what turns you on in magic?
Okay. Well, let's see. I don't think we have time for this. I just like the overall mystique and charm, and as I was saying, it's an oddity of entertainment, and that's very much captivating. And because it has so many occult roots, that also makes it very attractive to me. And with witchcraft and magic, like actual magic, like with a K, MAGICK. So all of those things that come with it always, make it pleasing.
What turns you off in magic?
Probably people that don't that take the time to learn something, no matter how simple it may be, or how may simple the directions make it seem. There's always something to practice, even if it's self-working. There's presentation that goes into it. There's other things you have to think about. So not spending the appropriate amount of time on learning something, no matter how easy.
What sound or noise in magic do you love?
God, these are good. I like, one of my favorite things are shuffling cards of any sort. I just like sounds of cards, whether it be playing cards or tarot cards. I just like the sound of, I have a weird thing for paper and like stationery, but I love the sound of cards riffling together and stuff.
What sound or noise in magic do you hate?
I think I did that, but I didn't do it during an ambitious card sequence.
Well. And Jordan, what is your favorite cuss word?
Do I have full reign here?
Yeah, you have full reign.
Okay. Shit. That's not it. I don't know, wanker. I'll go with wanker.
Well said.
I think wanker is a great word.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
I've always wanted to be a musician. I know that doesn't seem obvious, but I've always been I have a very deep-seated interest in music and the history of music and blues and different, obviously metal and rock and a bit of everything. That's what I've always, when I was a kid, I always used to lip sync to Garth Brooks, who was a country singer.
Yeah.
I used to have a guitar, and during family events, I would wear a cowboy hat and sing Garth Brooks because I've always been a ham. So now everyone knows that about me. So thank you, Chris.
Well, thank you for answering. What profession would you not like to do?
Own a restaurant. I don't think I could own a restaurant. Way too much stress when it comes to doing something like that. I didn't want to say something obvious like a lawyer or something, but seriously, I would not want to try to own a restaurant.
And Jordan, our final question of the night. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
I made you exactly the way that I wanted to.
Jordan, wonderful answers and well said. I truly appreciate you taking the time to share a little bit about yourself. And I can't think of anything else that I appreciate about what you do in your work, and I hope everyone follows you and continues to learn about what you do in this art and what you contribute. So once again, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your personal insight and your personal thoughts today. So thank you, Jordan.
No need to thank me. I should be thanking you wholeheartedly. So I appreciate you having me on, and I appreciate that people tune in to watch.
Well, you have quite a bit of viewers today, and needless to say, I think they appreciate what you have to offer as far as magic is concerned. Jordan, is there any last positive thought that you would like to leave the audience as we close out the show tonight?
I think I don't have anything to say. I'm not a very inspirational person, at least in my own head. But
thank you, Jordan. Thank you for all that you've done, Jordan. It is a pleasure to have you on the show, and I hope to have you come back and resume our conversations, because they're always interesting. And so, ladies and gentlemen, if you're out there watching, tune in to Jordan Jonas's show tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard, and I hope that you all enjoy. Jordan, thank you again. My name is Chris Herren as Faust. Thank you all for joining us. This is Jordan Jonas, and
my pleasure.
And we will see you here again, everyone. Good night.